So when you put popcorn as garland around your Christmas tree, it used to be entrails.
Hey everybody, and welcome to Monsters Lounge. I'm Jeni.
And I'm Tressa.
Tressa, we have a Christmas episode tonight.
I know, I'm here as well.
That's why we're so Christmassy, and we have a Christmas tree put up in our lounge. It's very nice. You did a great job with that.
Thank you. It took hours.
I know.
All that decorated. Those presents are fake, though. They're just empty boxes.
Again?
Listen, I don't have a big allowance right now.
I thought you were going to get me something. I thought...
My love and affection.
I'll take it.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. All right. We have a super special episode for everybody tonight, and I'm very excited about it. Would you like to hear about our guest?
Yeah. Yeah, let's hear it.
Yeah, would you? It is Jeff Belanger. I know. He's such a delight. I will tell you, we have seen him at several conferences at this point.
Right? That's true.
He's just so nice, funny, and approachable. So very excited about it. That was it. So please go after him at the next, say hello at the next conference you see him at. He is an author, a podcaster, a storyteller, adventurer, and explorer of the unexplained. He's written more than a dozen books that have been published in 6 languages. He's an Emmy-nominated host, writer, and producer of the New England Legends series on PBS and Amazon Prime. He provides programs and lectures to audiences all over the world, and he's been the writer and researcher for every episode of Ghost Adventures on the Travel Channel. Jeff has made media appearances on hundreds of radio and television programs over his 25-year career, and he has a passion for mysteries and legends. He also hosts a great podcast on the Paranormal 60 network and is incredibly nice in person, as I mentioned before.
And an aficionado of Arby's roast beef sandwiches.
He really is. Yeah. I've heard that. I've heard that he delights.
Big fan.
Yeah, so please help me extend a Arby's welcome to Jeff.
Thank you for having me so much. Do you know where Arby's got its name?
Oh, where's that?
No.
Because they initially just served roast beef sandwiches, R-B, roast beef, and it became Arby's.
Well, they didn't need to spell it out.
I know, but there they went and did it. Yeah.
Congratulations, Arby's.
Yeah. You didn't even think you were going to get that nugget tonight. You were like, oh, we'll just make a joke about Arby's sandwiches. And here you are, enlightened.
Educated. That's why we love you.
I know.
You're always educating.
You're going to be at like some fancy cocktail party and be like, hey, everyone, do you know where Arby's got its name? Let me tell you. And everyone will gather around and get real hushed and be like, tell us, Tressa. We're like, anyway, yeah.
Yeah, that's
great.
That's how
Let's crash a bunch of fancy Christmas parties and then only tell that fact and then leave.
And then leave.
You know what? That would be wicked fun. Like get dressed up and go to like downtown hotels where there's obviously like corporate Christmas parties. Nobody but nobody would notice if you just sort of mixed in. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like got some drinks and you're like, oh, you've seen me like around HR and accounting and you know what I'm talking about. And
right.
Yeah.
You believe that CEO?
Yeah,
what
exactly.
a guy.
Oh, he's not here anymore.
I'll tell you.
Too soon. Too soon. Sorry.
Awkward.
Yeah, awkward for you.
Right.
Yes. So we could do that. We could crash them and we could just be like, do you know where Arby's got its name? Gather around.
Oh, wait. Jeff is going to want to hear this. Over here. Over here.
Oh, tell me.
Tammy, you got to hear this.
Stranger.
Yeah.
Who are you?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll call over Pam from HR. There's always Pam in HR. Always. Inevitably.
Yeah. Perfect. This is great. This is how, you know what? This is how us poor people that are like self-employed and do our own thing and don't make a fortune will have our Christmas party. We'll just crash others.
Yes. That's
Genius.
what the holidays are all about, really.
Yeah.
Let's all remember to bring our big purses so that we can take appetizers home.
Right.
So much shrimp cocktail. Yes.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because who doesn't love lukewarm shrimp cocktail covered in lints?
Listen, that's why Jeni has cooler packs in her purse.
Oh,
exactly. And those really tiny little Tupperware guys that you don't know what to do with other than that. Yeah.
Totally.
Time.
Yeah,
well, this has been a good meeting. We'll see you next week.
Right. Perfect.
Been fun.
Great.
Hey, when are we going to start recording?
Oh, we did.
Oh, yeah. No, this is it. Yeah, it's very awkward.
Well, that's a real grabber of an intro.
We're not good at this.
Let me know if you'd like a holiday song at any point. I brought my didgeridoo.
Oh, did you?
All right. You know what? Scrap the rest of anything that I ever wanted to know. I'm going to need to see this didgeridoo and then hear it.
Yeah, the point was to hear it, I think.
What's your favorite holiday song, Jeni? You can make the first pick. I can play any song on the didgeridoo. I learned it in Australia. I got this in Australia from an actual Aborigine, and I can play it. I'm probably the greatest didgeridoo player you've ever met.
Oh, I don't know if you can say that.
I'm rather fond of Silent Night. So
nice. Yeah. Okay. Ready?
You know, I thought you were going to do a joke, and you really pulled it off.
You really did. That was beautiful.
I'm the best didgeridoo player you probably have ever met.
You have ruined all other versions of Silent Night for me.
Thank you so much. I dug in for that one. I felt, you got to play the didgeridoo from the soul, not from the mouth. Yeah, everyone knows that.
Straight from the gut.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's nice to start with a song.
I was recently gifted a flute. So you and I should get together.
Oh, you should do that now.
Starting the band. Listen, I'd have to put it up all together and tune it and clear the reeds. And
there's no reeds in a flute.
Make sure that it's tuned appropriately.
Right,
and the strings are all there.
Yeah. Right.
Yep.
Okay.
Listen.
Hey, I heard you have a Christmas book, Jeff.
There we go.
No. What? This old thing? I do have a Christmas book.
I've heard a lot of things about this book, but mainly about the binding and the quality.
I was on this podcast show once, and they just went on and on about the binding and the pictures and the print quality. I'm like, this is the most flattering interview I've ever had. So it was nice. I won't go on that show again.
No, I don't think anyone will.
I don't know what kind of boring individual would ever discuss book quality on a podcast.
It's weird.
Yeah,
when they
it's totally weird.
Things related to the book. Maybe.
Right. You'd think you would just skip the binding, but totally, whatever,
No, and much less the nice bookmark that's in there, just in case you want to mark where you.
I feel like I'm here as a passenger. You know what I mean? Like that's my role. Like you're driving the bus, and I just sit back here and look out the window.
Yeah, but where am I driving the bus? No one knows.
No,
could be right off a cliff.
Yeah.
Listen.
Yeah.
So let's pull in here, Jeff. Tell us about this book. Jeni, come on, let's go.
Listen, all right. So fall is like the worst time for me on occasion, right? I hit into that winter depression, and it is just gross and icky. And one of the things that I love is that there are so many cool stories that are based around this time of year. And I think it's a really, really great distraction for me personally. But there's got to be a reason why so many myths and legends are based around this time of year, right?
Sure.
Could you tell us a little bit about that?
No.
Okay, that's perfect. All right, moving on.
So if you think about it, it's hard for us to imagine, but just think back just a century and a half, 150 years, 200 years and beyond. And you had to spend most of your year working really hard. You had to plant and farm and harvest and care for your crop and take the crop in and take care of it. And so by the time the fall comes, you've taken in the harvest and your life slows down drastically. right? You have time on your hands that you don't have at all the rest of the year. You've also made wine, you've made beer, you've slaughtered animals, and we'll have fresh meat for a little while. So there's a time for like feasting, and there's a time for staying indoors. There's this notion that as the sun gets less and less each day, as it gets darker and colder, that is your time to go inside and hibernate, and not just hibernate, but share stories and also try to keep your sanity. Idle hands do the devil's work and all, and you're suddenly not very busy. And that's very troubling for some people. Some people need to be busy all the time or they get manic. So I think this time of year lends itself. I mean, and also too, like nature literally dies, right? I mean, it's just the leaves fall off the tree, they rot to the ground, they get skeletal, the wind whips through, the grass dies, the flowers die. It is a season of death, and this oncoming coldness is coming, and we have to worry if we have enough food for the winter, enough fuel for the winter. And so it just makes sense that we're going to share these scary stories, because fear helps us prepare for something. Fear gets our bodies ready for fight or flight, and fear helps us sort of play through the different scenarios. And yeah, if you live in northern climes, when the days start to get like this and the leaves are gone and everything else, like we got to hunker down for that long, hard winter. And that's true today, but even way more true, centuries ago.
I heard recently somebody was talking about like having an affinity for horror movies and scary stories, right? And it was that if you're listening to these things, if you're watching scary stuff or hearing about scary stuff, it makes the real world a little bit less terrifying.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, there's something to that. There's also this idea that, as we live in a world that's really much safer than it ever was in any point in history. It truly is, I mean, we live in homes with houses and heat and air conditioning in the summer and, cozy beds and everything else. And so we've lost a primal part of us. When you were living hand to mouth, day to day, outside, hunting, gathering, and so on, fear was just sort of more built in. So when we watch a scary movie, we get to have that fluttering heart rate, the adrenaline rush, the fear factor, but ultimately we know we're safe. So it's sort of fun to explore that. And, fear makes you feel alive. It's why people ride roller coasters. It's why they tell ghost stories. It's why they do scary things, because it makes you feel most alive when you're a little bit afraid. And when you're a little bit afraid, you tend to remember those moments. It's a physiological reason for that, but also, it's important. It's important to sort of move through that human spectrum. So there's a million reasons why we love to be afraid, because it lets us know that the primal part of us is still working.
Yeah, I like that. I like that angle on it. So, what is your absolute favorite sort of Christmas myth, and why is it Krampus?
Krampus is great, but he's like it's like if you're a band and they're like, play the single, play the hit, play the one we all know. Sure, Krampus, there he is. He's always close by. He's getting movie deals now. He's in a new movie with The Rock. Once you're opposite Dwayne The Rock Johnson, you've made it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like Krampus eats in restaurants we can't get into.
Oh, absolutely. Stuffed shrimp in his purse.
Yeah, he's like, oh yeah, right, totally. Yeah. He gets invited to all those parties that we just hear about in the gossip magazines. So, I mean, I love so many parts of it. What I think people don't understand enough is that what we think of as the Christmas holiday is such a blending of so many different cultures, religions, belief systems, countries, myths, legends, and so on, that's sort of been pushed into this amazing conglomerate, this gumbo, this stew that is the holidays. And people think of it as, purely Christian, which isn't fair at all. It's really Christianity has the least to do with it.
Yeah.
I adore the Christmas tree. I look forward to seeing it in my home every year. I know what it means now, right? So when the Nordic people used to look out on the landscape and see that winter kills absolutely everything, we mentioned before, the trees, the grass, the flowers, the ponds and lakes are frozen solid. but they saw that the evergreen couldn't be killed by winter. It could stand up to it. So it must be magic. It must be powerful, more powerful than winter. Imagine that. And so we'd put the branches over the doors and windows, but would even take the tree inside as a symbol that if this tree can get through winter, we can get through winter. And one of my favorite traditions that people often don't know the history of is the garland. You know, the Nordic people, when they were out hunting in the winter, trying to supplement their diet, if they were lucky enough to get a kill, like a deer, an elk, or something like that, they would pull the entrails out and they would drape them around the evergreen tree. And they would do this as an offering to the tree, to nature. But also the other purpose it served is that smaller animals could sort of pick at that, and they too could survive the winter. So when you put popcorn as garland around your Christmas tree, it used to be entrails. And so if you want to have a traditional Christmas this year, get yourself some entrails and go ahead and put it around your tree, and just imagine the smell. When people walk in, they could be like, what is that? And you could be like, that's the smell of an authentic Christmas, traditional Christmas.
Are we
have popcorn?
Still doing that?
Yeah. Let me just cut this off at the pass right now. Tressa, no. And I'm going to go ahead and say that Monsters Lounge, it does not condone or endorse the use of entrails on your trees.
Fine. Let's
Tressa,
take
no.
the entrails. Put them in a large mason jar. Don't put the lid on too tight. Put it in the vents. And then when the heat jumps on.
Monsters Lounge does not condone nor endorse the use of entrails in Tressa's formerly known chicken bomb.
It's called a Yule bomb.
Okay.
Thank you.
We always call those lower deckers.
I think that's something different, but yeah.
Upper deckers are anyway.
Yeah.
We've said too much. So So I love the idea that you bring in this Christmas tree, and people don't even understand what the symbol means and what it's about, and the power that it has too. You know, so when we're inside in the winter and it's dark and it's cold, and by the way, it's dark at 4. You know, like it's
seriously.
I know.
I love it so much.
But you hear these sounds outside, this shrieking, screeching sound. That's probably the wind, but maybe it's the shrieking spirits as the Norse god Odin rides through the sky on his 8-legged horse with his big white beard, and he's chasing them down on his wild hunt. And so we protect ourselves. We put the lights out to illuminate. We put the branches over our doors and windows that the prickly needles keeps the bad cheer and bad spirits outside and the good cheer inside. And for years and years, I put up a wreath on my front door. I put lights on the trees, because I'm like, well, it looks nice. And that's what my dad did and my dad's dad did. But I never really thought about why. And then once I understood it, now I make my own wreath. I go into the woods behind my house. I cut branches. I wrap them into a circle. I wrap them with crafting wire. It looks terrible. It comes out so awful every year. But you know what? It works better than any other wreath I've ever had. The fake plastic one has been tossed.
Oh.
And now it's the real one that I make myself. And it looks totally like ghetto. It's just, looks like Charlie Brown made it. And but I adore it.
It was sad.
And I got a spotlight on it right on my front door.
Are you just going to
fascinating?
Okay.
Jeff, we can't wait to hear more about these legends in just a moment.
The holidays aren't all joy and jingles. Behind the festive lights lies a shadowy history, and Jeff Belanger's Surviving Krampus and Other Yuletide Monsters, The Fright Before Christmas, is here to unwrap the history for you. This isn't your typical Christmas story. It's a fun, fascinating, and sometimes frightening deep dive into the forgotten folklore of the season. A world where Krampus isn't just a pop culture icon, but a devilish enforcer, ready to snatch naughty children. Where trolls, witches, and the Yule Cat stalk the snowy landscapes, and St. Nicholas's heavy-handed helpers bring more punishment than presents. Explore folklore from across the globe, from the elf-like Tomten to the terrifying Grilla, who drags the misbehaved to her mountain lair. Discover why the winter solstice, the darkest time of year, has always been a season to fear. Whether you're curling up by the fire or walking alone on a cold winter's night, The Fright Before Christmas will have you questioning every shadow. It's available in hardcover, audiobook, and CD. Perfect for gifting to your favorite spooky season lover. So this holiday season, add a little more fright to your festive nights. Grab your copy of The Fright Before Christmas, available wherever you buy your favorite books. Because nothing says Merry Christmas like a Yule Cat ready to pounce.
Oh, Dave, you're the best.
He is
so my number one question. He is my number one question. What is the cover like for the CD of the book?
You know what's funny? I don't know why he said that. There's no CD.
That's weird.
I don't know. I've been writing books since 2004, 20 years. Uh-huh. I've never had a CD-ROM version of any book I've ever done. So it's available in hardcover, in Kindle, and audiobook only.
I mean, maybe you could put it on a CD though, if you have.
I mean, we could for you.
I don't think I've had a CD in years.
Man. We could make one. I'm just saying.
Yeah, that'd be great. No, and it's a one-man show now too. I'm now performing it in front of audiences, which is crazy fun. I just did one this past Saturday night.
That's exciting.
That's so exciting.
Legit, like so much fun to put this in front of an audience with like a story arc and a narrative. It's a one-man show. It's like funny and entertaining and enlightening, and it hits the feels, and
yeah.
So I'm starting to do it in some small theaters around the Northeast, and the hope is to sort of continue that year after year.
Oh, that's fantastic. Let's not cover that at all and talk about RB some more.
Yes. So roast beef, RB. Anyway, never mind.
Yeah, listen, everybody, go out and see that if you can, because incredibly entertaining just to listen to it at conferences and whatnot.
Yes.
Do you know where mansplainers get water? No. Well, actually.
Yeah, that. Hey, I interrupted you. And
mansplaining is a combination of the word man and explaining.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry, what?
Thank you.
Nothing.
Jeni, I'll explain it later. Real quick, I saw a meme the other day that was like how Christian Christmas is. And the Christmas tree is actually a symbol of pointing up to God. And that's where it originated. So I guess you're wrong, Jeff, because I saw it in a meme.
Oh, but look, I didn't see that meme.
Here's the thing. You are allowed to Christianize anything you want, right? If that is your belief system. And so the star on the tree. So Christians say, well, that represents the star over Bethlehem that led the three magi. Fine. Or you put an angel up there. Go ahead, right? I'll keep Krampus on mine, and that's fine. But I mean that's okay. You are allowed to take this symbol. And here's the other thing: if you're Jewish, you can have it. It's not even Christian, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, you can have a Hanukkah bush. You can decorate it with whatever you like. My dentist, this is so important to this story. My dentist keeps the tree up in the corner all year. July, it's covered in American flags.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, October, it's got pumpkins and spooky things, and then Christmas, it's got candy canes and what you'd expect, and February, it's got hearts and red Valentine stuff. So whatever, it's a tree, and we honor the tree that's so powerful it can stand up to winter. So you're allowed. You have permission. I was talking to someone. I was doing an interview recently with someone who said he was raised Pentecostal. And his preacher was telling the congregation, like, do not get a Christmas tree. Do not put up Christmas lights. This holiday is pagan. It is not Christian. And so Christianity has been at war with Christmas from the year 336 AD until roughly like the 1940s and 50s. But obviously that war continues because this person grew up just, a few decades ago and was told, don't do it. It's not right. It's pagan. It's not our way. And my hat's off to that preacher, actually, because he's right.
Right.
But I also think that, like, you could also, but why would you stop people from having fun and partaking in a cultural experience?
Oh, you don't know the answer to that? It's because it's Christianity.
Oh, come on. They're not all bad. I mean,
I am a Christian. It's fine. But organized religion is fun like that. Go ahead.
Funny story. I was raised Catholic, Roman Catholic, and Father Lawler. I was probably, let's say, 7, and it was very close to Christmas, and all the kids and parents were gathered in the church hall next to the church. And Father Lawler was standing on the wall with his arms crossed, just looked like, someone just peed in his coffee, right? Just looked furious and couldn't figure out why. And then all of a sudden, Tressa, Jeni, I'm not kidding. The big man himself walked in the back of the room. Santa freaking Claus walks in, ho, 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 bag over his back, giving out candy canes. The kids are, wah! Like Beatles, like, you know, Elvis, like nothing compared to how big of a celebrity this guy is. And he's walking up to the front of the room, you know, with his big old sack, and he sits down in the chair, and Father Lawler is trying to make Santa's head explode with death lasers coming out of his eyes. And I'm just like, what's wrong with you, Father Lawler? Like, this is Santa. He's the greatest guy ever. Father, this guy's bigger than Jesus. Anyway, and he started talking about commandments. I forget which one, but
blah blah blah.
Yeah. So anyway, and by the way, Santa gave us all little gift wrapped plastic rosary beads. So you know, and the candy cane, in which they said, oh, this represents the cane, the shepherd, Jesus, and all that other stuff. Fine. You can Christianize this thing. They've been doing it for thousands of years, you know?
Right.
So anyway, but I remember sort of seeing it firsthand how the priest just struggled with giving into this Santa Claus figure. And I'm like, what a shame, you know, because like we can all coexist, truly, you know, it's all right. True. And also too, but I could also see, even my little 7-year-old self could see like the powers of the church are nothing compared to Santa Claus. You know
obviously.
What I mean? We tried, we failed. He's ours now. It's the best we can do. You know?
Right. Christianity. See what sells. Read the room. Let's go. Let's have fun.
But it's such a shame because so the thing is, Santa Claus, by the way, is really a very modern secular figure that's only been around really since like the mid 1800s, heavily based on St. Nicholas. But those are two different people in most of the world. St. Nicholas comes on December 6th. Santa Claus comes on December 25th. Clearly a lot of overlap, a lot of influence, but two distinct figures. And Santa can be purely secular if you want. It doesn't have to be tied to a particular religion. And to me, that's one of the things that was so heartwarming for me when I worked on this project, was to sort of realize like, oh, wow, like the holiday originally forever and ever included everyone. No one was left out, right? If you live somewhere where winter's hard, then the winter solstice is a marked point where we're all in this together. All of us, atheist, Hindu, Baptist, Jew, Christian, Catholic, doesn't matter, right? Doesn't matter what you believe or don't believe. You can believe what's out your window, right? You can believe that winter's tough. We're going to need each other to get through this tough season. We might have to share food. We might have to share shelter, whatever it takes. And it included absolutely everyone. And we sort of lost our way, but we can get it back. That's the beauty of it. We can get this back, but we can't do it alone. We're going to need some help from some of the various monsters and creatures and ghosts that can haunt us and scare us straight. That's my sincere hope.
I like that a lot. I like that a great deal. Now, one of the things that I like the story of is the Yule log, talking about things that have a completely different meaning now than they did at the onset of that tradition. What was that originally?
Originally, it was this chocolate cake wrapped in more chocolate. Oh, no, that's what it is now.
Right.
I'm totally confused. Right. So the original Yule log is, but also quite a beautiful story and a single biggest fire hazard you're going to hear about today, I assure you. Mm-hmm. The original Yule log, you would get an entire tree and you would chop it down and you would bring it into your home and you would stick it tip first into your hearth and you'd light it with the remnants of last year's Yule log. And you'd pour some wine or ale as an offering to the tree. And then you would slowly keep pushing the tree into your hearth as it burns. So by the end of the day, there's a lot of coals in there. And then finally the trunk would burn and so on. And then you'd save those ashes. You'd save a little bit of the tree to light next year's Yule log. And you would save the ashes. You might sprinkle the ashes over your farm fields. You might put some ashes in jars for any magic you might need throughout the year. And the tree you picked is specific, right? It's not, you don't just grab any tree. maybe you need, there's some sickness in your family and you're looking for health this coming year, or you're having a hard financial time. You might pick a different type of tree for financial prosperity, or you're just, there's another type of tree for enlightenment. Like it's intent to like look for some sort of specific outcome in this coming year. We would get a specific tree, type of tree, bring it in and burn it sort of ceremoniously throughout the day. And that was the original Yule log. And there was sort of magic and intent in it. And we do so many things that harken back to these old ways, but we don't understand why. And your intent is everything, right? When someone says like, oh, pray for my sick friend, I get that if you can't do anything else, if you can't help financially, or you can't bring over some soup or something, like, yeah, prayer is something, it's something. You're putting an intent into the world. And I think that's a beautiful thing. And so instead of just going through the motions of putting up your holiday decorations or burning just a regular log in your fireplace, which is okay, and calling it your Yule log, you can think about what you want. And suddenly it becomes something a lot more active instead of passive. And then it's not a chore. At the very least, it's not like, oh, chore, hang up the lights, put up the tree, like put these decorations up, go light the lights outside, like get the extension cords out. You're doing this because it's dark out and you need to be a beacon in the darkness, and you want to light up the night because you need to find your way home. If you get lost, you need your friends and your family and your neighbors to find their way to you if they get lost. And so you be that beacon in the darkness. And then if your house can be that beacon, who knows, maybe you can be that beacon in the long, dark winter that's coming.
Delightful. This sounds an awful lot like witchcraft. Are we talking about witchcraft here?
Yes. Okay. And witchcraft. So it's just folk magic, right? Like that's all it's ever been. We called it witchcraft later, but it's just folk magic, some intent, an offering, right? You're giving something up, like your wine or your ale, as like an offering to the tree. Like I'm giving you something, you're giving me something, you're giving me your ashes and your warmth. And yeah, of course, it's always been about folk magic. One of the problems is that we lost our way when the ceremonial magic was only allowed to happen in the front of the church with the clergy or the priest at the altar, right? They could turn water to wine and they could transmogrify this little cracker into the body of Christ and so on. So we had to sit passively and watch while all the magic happens up there by very select special people who've gone through special training, instead of us doing it. I know. I have a friend who was telling me her mother, when she cooks for the family, especially like a holiday meal, she says prayers over the food she's cooking because it means that much to her. She wants this to be really something special, not just something you eat, but something that fills you up with joy as well. And taking the time to do that makes a difference. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you're baking cookies for a friend or something, really think about the friend while you're doing it. Really think about who you're going to give it to and what results you want. And when you put some care into it, it's not just, oh, I got to make cookies. It's no, I'm making cookies, and how great is that? And that's just a little bit of intent into something that could otherwise be a chore.
We have a friend who's been on the show before, Cherise Williams, and she talks about, because I was asking her about rituals and things that she does because she, is a practicing witch. And she was saying that every single thing that you can do, if you do it with the right intent and ritual, can have that sort of effect, can be like a magical ritual for you because of that intent.
Of course. Yeah. What I remember reading, I don't remember who wrote it, forgive me, but I thought it was great. They said the reason there were intricate spells that you would say over some of the potions as you were making them had less to do with the words and more to do with the amount of time it took to say the words. Oh. So if you had to mix something for 2 minutes, you didn't have egg timers back then, right?
Right.
So if you read something that takes about 2 minutes, that's how long it needs to stir or cook or mix. So it of course, the words give it even more intent because you think about the words as you say them, but it also served as a timer for how long you were doing something, which I thought was
delightful.
How practical,
So
seriously.
practical.
I'm thinking about a new book opportunity here
A cookbook.
Just a holiday cookbook with some nice things that you can say over the timing that you're supposed to be doing things.
Right. Like you're just like, I hope my in-law chokes on this.
Right.
Like,
exactly. Get down to the real spirit of Christmas, which is people choking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get them out of here.
So yeah. Did you have any traditions growing up? Did you either of you have like a holiday tradition that was unique beyond just, the turkey or whatever?
Yes.
We really didn't. Tell us, Jeni.
Yes, indeed. Well, one thing that we would do is we would, at my grandparents' house, we would get together, we would gift to the animals. Right. So we would go out on Christmas Day, my grandfather and I, and that's when we would redo the salt licks for the deer. We would make the ornaments with like the peanut butter and bird seed and hang them from trees. Everybody kind of got something. Any of the animals that were usually around in the area sort of got things, and that obviously the pets, or at the time that we had cattle for a hot minute, the cattle got something. Every living thing got a gift.
I adore that. And why, I'm asking now, did you turn your nose up at the entrails around the tree?
Yeah, Jeni, what are you doing?
They did the same thing.
I know. It's so bad, but
peanut butter, yes. Entrails, no.
Butter, yes.
Got it. Just want to know where your line is. Okay.
Right. Yeah. I don't think. Yeah. I don't know. Probably because it was in my home, and also I was imagining Tressa trying to figure out some way of doing this or turning it into a weapon for when you got disgruntled.
You didn't even know me then, so how would you even think about that?
Well, we weren't really going to go kill one of the animals that we were trying to feed in order to feed the other animals. That was just not a thing.
I think it's beautiful, truly, that you just like when we tell our kids, like, let's leave some cookies and milk out for Santa. Like, it's an offering, right? Don't just give too. You're going to get like an Xbox. Putting out some cookies and milk ain't gonna kill you. You know what I mean? Like that's that like think about that. It is an exchange of energy, of intent, of gifts, and so on. So I love that you thought about like, well, let's take care of everything around us too for this one day.
It was a pretty big deal. And not only that, but there's a beautiful song on the John Denver and the Muppets Christmas album.
Classic,
the Alfie the Christmas Tree Story.
Huh. I don't know.
Which I will recommend to anybody. I could summarize, but it's not going to be as beautiful as it is. But go look it up. It's pretty fantastic. You can find the videos on YouTube.
All right.
You know what else is beautiful?
Oh, hey, Tressa. Jeni? Oh, I'm just reading my book by international TV sensation, Dave Schrader. I'm reading the book, too. I don't remember the name of it or who wrote it, but yeah. There, I like your shirt. I got it on monstersloungepodcast.com. You've got a great shirt, too. Oh, that's so weird. I got it at monstersloungepodcast.com, too. They have really great stuff. A full variety. I know, right? They have everything. Shirts. Tote bags. Clutches. A phone case, I think. It's the best.
Shameless.
What? No.
Oh, there's tons of shame involved in that.
That's awesome.
I hear Santa loves phone cases. That's all I'm saying, kids.
Yeah.
Seriously. And totally. Crocs and calendars. I mean, come on.
That's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah. What about you outside of the wreath, which is the new tradition that you have? What did you have as a kid growing up that was unique?
So for my family, Christmas Eve was always the big fancy dinner. That's where we pulled out all the stops and, had the big formal dinner with all the candles. And it was all about the anticipation, right? Like that was our big dinner. Christmas dinner was always spaghetti and meatballs, still is. Because you make the meatballs and stuff ahead of time. and then it just sits in the pot all day warm. And then when people want to eat, you just throw the pasta in, and you can make it because you're exhausted and you want to just make it an easy dinner. But spaghetti and meatballs is always, comfort food. Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah, totally. So that was always a thing for us. Leaving out the cookies and milk was always a thing. But yeah, no,
carrots.
Yes, well,
okay.
No, my daughter did. She would leave out carrots for the reindeer, either by the fireplace or outside, depending. So, but yes, we did make sure to say like, well, we have to say thank yous. We have to say, we have to make an offering of some kind, and that's important. Now, thankfully, they leave out beer for Santa, which is appreciated if I'm honest. Like that's,
why do you care?
Well, you got to help them out with that. You can't have Santa driving around in that sleigh all tipsy.
Yeah, no.
Like, so you leave one, you take the rest, right?
We've seen that movie. It's a classic. So yeah, no, but the cool thing about it is that Christmas has always been packaged nostalgia, right? So think about it. Like here's a commercial for something, right? Like these fresh baked cookies that we make here at Jeff's Bakery will take you back to when you were a child biting into that warm, squishy cookie you had around Christmas time that your mom or your grandma made. They're so warm and they're covered in just the right amount of sprinkles, and it'll make the holidays magic for you. And you're just like, yeah, that's me. You know what I mean? Like it's just packaged nostalgia. Anything that's you tie it to Christmas and it becomes a thing. But a tradition is nothing more than a habit that started somewhere. So you're allowed to incorporate whatever you want, like that's sort of the beauty of it. You can bring in these ideas. You can bring in the magical element of it if you want. You can make it purely secular. You can make it deeply religious if you want. Make a cake for Jesus if you want to celebrate Jesus's birthday that day. It's all good. I like cake.
Cake's great.
Totally.
I prefer frosting over the cake, but yes.
Well,
we
maybe
don't need to get into details.
The cake could be like a frosting delivery system.
It pretty much is.
Yeah.
Accurate.
I don't mean to derail this, but I need to hear about the people that get murdered for not wearing their new Christmas sweaters.
Yeah, that's fair. We've been keeping it warm and fuzzy too long. Sure. So in Iceland, you have to worry about the Yule Cat on Christmas Day. You're supposed to work hard all year and be able to afford new clothes for yourself come Christmas time. And you need to set those new clothes out where people can see on Christmas Day, specifically the Yule Cat. Because if you didn't work hard, if you didn't save enough money to go out and get or make new clothes, then the Yule Cat comes and the Yule Cat kills you and eats you. So there's that to worry about.
Oh,
listen, are we talking about just like a little cat, like just chomping away, or what happens?
So I don't know the exact size of the cat, but the cat is a familiar of Grilla, who is the matriarch of Icelandic Yuletide monsters. She's the mother of the Yule lads. There's 13 of them, and they'll come down and visit, one each day. Coming up in just a few days, they're going to start showing up at your house. But they are a collection of monsters, and then the cat is the finale there on Christmas Day, making sure you have new clothes. Realistically, those stories were all separate, but they've sort of been pushed together over time in Iceland. But yeah, the Yule Cat is something to fear. Yeah, if you see any cats on Christmas Day, probably just run. I
do.
It does.
Regardless of
makes sense. Yeah.
Play it safe.
Yeah. People, come on, guard yourself in sweaters.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a real heartwarming capitalist story, that cat.
Well, sure. But and here's the thing too. Like, okay, so Christmas has become about commercialism, and it has been really since like the early 1930s. That's when it really transitioned into this very big spend holiday.
Mm-hmm.
And that holiday, that spending, by the way, has kept a lot of people employed. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. And so in my family growing up, we didn't have a ton of money growing up. So my birthday's in August, and then Christmas, of course, is December. And so all year, if there was something you wanted, like a specific toy or whatever, you either had to wait for your birthday and really ask for it for your birthday, or for Christmas. Those were your two gift receiving opportunities in my home.
Mm-hmm.
And so if
twice a year, huh? How
yeah,
nice.
a little spoiled, I know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, but like I had friends,
As a winter solstice baby, how nice for you.
when you were born, Jeni?
Oh no, I'm the twice a year. She is not.
Oh,
Winter solstice right here, baby.
December 21st.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So your birthday's coming up. You got hosed.
Yep.
Yeah.
You just got hosed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. But at least it's a couple days away. Imagine people that are like December 25th.
Those poor people.
I know. Let's start a GoFundMe.
Yes.
Seriously though.
They deserve it.
They should celebrate their half birthdays. You should. You could be like, hey,
you know what?
I'm still not going to get you 2 gifts, but I mean, you could.
You could celebrate the summer solstice and be like, hey, here it is. So you're a Yule child.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Oh, listen, winter solstice is the best day of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Partially because it's my birthday. So I'm fine with it. Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, good. No, it is a magical time. And the thing about it too, right, is like the winter solstice isn't decided by like calendar companies. You know what I mean? Like it's literally dictated by the movement of the earth around the sun and so on. And it's a precise moment. There's a single second where it's like, boom, that is the winter solstice. It's the up here on the northern hemisphere, the North Pole is leaning furthest from the sun. And it is the most darkness we're going to get. And that's awesome. Like that is an observable specific moment. And it's been observable for many thousands of years. And of course, there's holidays tied to those moments, like winter, like spring, like summer, like fall, and then halfway in between each. They're precise moments that that we celebrate. We celebrate something because there's something significant that's happening on that clock that is the annual year.
Yeah, it's like it's the herald of hey, the sun's going to start to come out a little bit more. So hold on to your butts.
Yeah,
that's right.
I'm very excited about your birthday every single year.
You're welcome.
Even before I knew you.
Right, because the sun starts to come back.
Tiny bits of sun back.
Yeah. Festival of Sol Invictus, which is how we ended up with Jesus's birthday on the 25th. So, yeah.
How nice for him.
Yeah.
All right. So if there's, I think we've been kind of focusing a lot on it, but the real spirit of the season and everything. But if there was a lesson that you wanted people to carry forward and maybe start now, what would it be?
That this holiday is for everyone and always was. That it's a time when you can find redemption, right? And that's the promise of this holiday, is that we want to be redeemed. We want to feel the spirit of the holiday, and you can, but it's going to take a little work on your part, but also you are going to have to be a little bit afraid. There's a song that says, be good for goodness sake, right? None of my friends can do that. No one I know, is just like, I should be good today and I have a song in my heart. Like, yeah, that'd be great if we could do that, but I can't. I don't know anyone who can. But when you get a scare, right? When that's what affects change. You get cancer or a heart attack, or someone you love or that's close to you dies too young. Those are the kind of scares that force us to take a good hard look at our lives and the way we're living and change. This holiday has that built-in scare, right? We've got monsters and ghosts that are going to haunt us and lurk and hunt us to keep us on the right moral path. If we let the monsters in, if we let them hunt us down and we're afraid, maybe we can have that transformative experience like my good friend Ebenezer Scrooge did.
You knew him?
Yeah, oh God. Knew him. The character was totally based on me, right?
What?
That's what I heard.
Did you dive into big vats of coins and? Am I thinking of something else?
Something else.
Thinking of the duck.
Oh, yeah. Right. The duck.
Right, Scrooge McDuck. Different.
Yeah.
A little different. But so that story is so powerful, and it works every time because, we realize by the end of the story who Scrooge is, right? Like, we're Scrooge. We're getting older and crankier and get off my lawn and all that other stuff. And Scrooge in one night was haunted by 4 ghosts, right? It's haunted by Jacob Marley, his old business partner, covered in chains and telling him, like, this is your fate. This is what your chains looked like 7 years ago. And you've been working on it ever since. But I arranged something for you. You're going to meet 3 other ghosts. And if you can get through this gauntlet, you might come out the other side okay. And that's what he did, right? He went through his past. We saw the young boy being left, without any place to go on Christmas Day. His family left him at the boarding school. We see him fall in love and then fall more in love with money. We see how he gets broken. We see the Ghost of Christmas Present take him through modern day. We see Bob Cratchit, his employee. We see Tiny Tim, who's going to die if things don't change in that poor family. And we see how the other half is celebrating. And then ultimately, the Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come shows him, what the world looks like without him. And then nobody cares. And they laugh at his demise, literally laugh at his demise.
God,
and he wakes up
prescient.
Right? Wakes up Christmas morning, changed. Oh my, I'm going to give, Bob Cratchit a turkey. I'm going to be better. I'm going to give to charity, because that's the point of the holiday, is to let it in, let it change you, and let you find that light that's going to come back, because the days are going to start getting a little longer again. And that does not have to be a religious experience. It can be a human experience.
I think it's better that way too, that it's a human experience. And I don't think that you need, I want to get into a whole philosophical thing, but you don't need fear to be a good person. You can decide just to be a good person. Everybody.
Oh no, I need fear.
Oh, yeah. When I said you, I obviously didn't mean
collective
you.
Right?
Yes,
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but I get it. You're right, and we should be good for goodness sake. But the idea of these monsters who are coming back. I'm not joking when I say, when Krampus is in movies with The Rock and he got his own movie deal in 2015. When there's Krampus walks and stuff popping up in major cities in the U.S., even though he's from Austria and Germany, then suddenly we're summoning these monsters, right? And I mean that in a very literal way. They're showing up in movies. Christmas Chronicles 2 had Belschnickel and Yule Cat. That's on Netflix with Goldie Hawn and her husband, her real life husband. You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, the guy who saw the UFO when he was flying his airplane.
Sure. Kurt Russell.
Yes.
Kurt Russell. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
When they start showing, Dwight Schrute was Belschnickel in The Office, in one episode of The Office. So when they start showing up in pop culture, when they start showing up in your holiday parades in your town, when they're showing up in your social media feed, suddenly we are summoning them, and they're a reminder that there is a consequence for bad behavior, right? That we've lost the consequence. That's what the holidays lost. Once it went purely commercial, it was just like, hey, retailers were just like, there's no room for Krampus and Grilla and Yule Cat and all these other things. We just need to spend, right? So if your kids are bad, just get them a few less presents, but not really. You know what I mean?
Listen, we're going to talk about coal a whole bunch, but you don't need to do that. You still need to buy presents.
That's the threat. You don't really do it. Just get the Xbox and the Atari and the, whatever. Right. Yeah.
Maybe hide it a little bit better so they don't think they get it until later. It's fine.
But it's got to make this economic wheel go round for sure. But that's that's what the holiday's about. And but I do think that these monsters are here to help, and we are summoning them collectively. Right? It's not up to me. It's not up to you. It's just, this is a group effort where we're starting to say they're part of our holiday now. Right? They used to be. Right. And now they're coming back. Krampus is showing up on T-shirts and sweaters and greeting cards and all kinds of things.
Yeah, I think we're doing that with a lot of different creatures from myth and folklore and things. And certainly, you look at Elf on the Shelf.
Oh,
it was a huge thing for started only a few years ago, and now it's everywhere.
Yeah. That's the Tomten. The Swedish Tomten is so similar, right? This little elf-like creature that would help you around the house, keep an eye on you, making sure you're behaving right, and if not, been known to slap you around, but expects some sort of payment for the services. And when the Tomten popped up, I was like, the Elf on the Shelf. I was like, oh, well, that's familiar,
Yeah. I love all of it. It's it's producing that magic in kids again. I feel like.
Right. And there's someone keeping watch, you know. I mean, I remember when I was a kid, you know, December, all of December, Santa's watching, you know, like how many times did I hear that, you know?
Yeah,
and
right.
When I was being like a little pain in the butt, Mom, Santa's watching. Okay.
Yeah.
I know.
Santa.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I started hearing about that in June.
Yeah. Whatever works. Whatever works.
All right, it's almost time for us to wrap up on this beautiful Yule night of holiday stuff, junk, and things. Do you have one last story you just want to throw out there for us? A little something to leave us on a high note or a low note, either way.
High note or a low note. Okay, so in Bulgaria, they have the Karakonkalis, which is a shape-shifting subterranean Bigfoot.
What?
What?
That comes around during the 12 days of Christmas, which over there they call the unbaptized days, the unholy days.
Oh my.
And it comes out at night, and it's a shapeshifter. So could look like anyone or anything, you know, could look like a relative of yours who maybe you don't particularly like, who's trying to get indoors. And if they're lucky enough to get you, the Karakonkalis will leap onto your back and claw at you until dawn, when it has to go back underground.
What are these claws like? Are they like fully digging into my flesh? Are they just scratching a little bit?
No, it's not the kinky kind. It's the hurting kind. Yeah.
Oh, ouch.
Yeah.
Double ouch.
So there's that. And so the Karakonkalis, the thing about it is that all these other monsters, Krampus, Grilla, everything else, if you were walking down a dark alley and you saw Krampus coming toward you, you would know to run. Right. Very easy, right? You'd look and be like, oh my goodness, turn and run. The shapeshifters, though, are more like real monsters, because we know from watching the news and headlines and everything else, the scariest monsters of all don't look like Krampus. They look just like us. They look like regular people who do horrible things. And so therein lies the lesson, right? Do we trust our fellow humans, our fellow people? And what are they trying to get from us? And we have to be careful, because some of them might be shape-shifting Karakonkalis subterranean Bigfoots that wants to jump on our back and claw at us till dawn. And others are just Aunt Edna bringing over that awful casserole.
Oh, right. So either way, when your relatives come over this year, hit them with a stick just to be safe, right?
And maybe keep them outside. Don't let them in.
Yeah, don't let them in.
Just be like, hey, we're going to have a small family quiet Christmas this year. For sure. But yeah, that's the moral of the story is just that there are creatures in the darkness, but ultimately, though they're here to scare us, abduct us, scratch us, hurt us, kill us, they're also here to serve, which is the irony of the whole thing, right? They're here because we need them. We need to have some sort of consequence. The idea that, you know, the unjust get punished some way, some karmic, you know, justice, but also that, you know, there's another element out there during this time of year to remind us that we better be good and we better watch out.
For goodness sake.
Excellent.
Jeff, what a pleasure to have you on.
Thanks.
An absolute delight, sir.
Yes.
And happy almost birthday, Tressa.
Thank you. I mean, by the time this airs, it will have already been my birthday, but I appreciate it.
I'm going to get you a icing delivery system.
Yay!
I think they just call that icing, Jeni.
No. Yeah. I'm just going to chuck a thing of icing at her.
I mean, I guess a spoon, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah.
Ooh, get an icing gun.
I'm going to get you an icing gun and a roast beef sandwich gun.
Yay. We'll have to have you back when you feel like we're worthy of that, Jeff. But thank you so much for joining us.
Good to see you both again.
Good to see you too. Thank you.
Everybody else. Don't
That's
forget
a noise.
to find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and the Paranormal 60 Network. Like, comment, subscribe, and check out our merch on our website, monstersloungepodcast.com. Send us an email or comment. We love hearing from people. So until next time, thanks for visiting the Monsters Lounge.